Back at you with another one. This time we have the Neca Godzilla 1989 from Godzilla vs. Biollante. Of course, you see here I got this at Sneak Ass in Brooklyn. Shout out to Sneak Ass for $32.99 a while back. I just haven't done a review on it. It's a really nice box. It's a colorful box. You have a nice picture of Godzilla here on the front with the rose version of Biollante. And that same picture is repeated for both sides of the box. On the back, you're going to get two very nice pictures of the figure. One of them with the atomic breath piece that it comes with. Of course, you get another picture of the rose version of Biollante. And a nice little write-up here. Emerging from a fiery pit in Mount Mihara, Godzilla returns to wreak havoc once more. Drawn to Oshinoko Lake, the creature faces off against a hybrid monster created by the cells of a human, a rose, and even Godzilla. Will Godzilla's strength and power be enough to defeat the might and ferocity of Biollante, or has Godzilla met his match? So, it's a cool box. On the inside, we're going to have a nice picture of the figure in the water. You have the roses here. And inside, there's going to be a little diorama that you could set the figure in. But it is a nice box. So, let's bust this sucker out and go over it. All right. So, here we have Godzilla 1989 from Godzilla vs. Biollante. Love the movie. Second film of the Heisei era. It really kicked off a strong run of Heisei era Godzilla movies. Godzilla vs. Biollante and then Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah are probably my two favorite Heisei era movies. This movie, they held a contest amongst fans, and a young fan won with this, basically, adding plants to the Godzilla story. And that's how they came up with Godzilla vs. Biollante. A really cool, innovative idea. And now we've been talking about that a little more with a possible sequel for Godzilla -1, where the G-cells were involved in that movie the same way they were involved here. This is the first introduction to the G-cells of Godzilla vs. Biollante. Overall, I like this figure. It's one of the bigger, heavier Neca Godzillas with a big tail. Looks really nice in a nice upswept pose like that. But he is a pretty heavy guy. He's a little bit taller than some of the other NECAs. Just to get the bad out of the way, it's not exactly screen accurate, especially in the face. Where the head is a little pointy, kind of looks like a Saint Bernard dog here, really, rather than Godzilla. And if you watch other people's reviews, that's what they're going to point to, the fact that he's not really screen accurate. Chest might be a little too bulky too. Where the chest maybe looks a little more like the Hokkaido landing version of the Godzilla. Even though they did use the Godzilla suits for the Godzilla suits, they just changed them a little bit. I think they bulked out his chest for the Hokkaido version of the Godzilla suit. But this seems like they gave him a little too much in the chest area. Not saying I don't like that. I just think it looks the best on the Godzilla suit, and was a little bit less here. Should have been a little bit less here. And I'll bring out the SH Monster Arts version of it to show you kind of how it really should look as far as the face and the chest is concerned on the Godzilla suit. But it is nice. I do like all the NECAs. I wasn't able to grab all of them. Hopefully one day I'll fill my collection up. I do have a bunch of them. And I did, I have a couple more reviews to do for the ones that I have. I already did some. out there, so go check those out. But, you know, NECA did Godzilla well, fairly well. So I do miss NECA Godzillas, and they were reasonable, you know, good figures for reasonable price. So, you know, but now that we have Haya, it's almost as if NECA Godzillas are a little bit of a relic as far as, you know, the articulation. You know, Haya is like NECA on steroids basically now. So we have a better version of NECA with Haya now, where, you know, these are becoming a little old, or you know, they're still good, they're still collectible. It's just, you know, we could have figures with better articulation than this now, that are even more screen accurate. And the higher figures are a little bigger, so, but they are a little bit more money as well. But, you know, we're not going to forget NECA, and hopefully one day they get to do some more Godzilla figures, because they do them well. They missed a couple of them, you know. I would have really loved the NECA 74, but maybe one day they'll make some more. So, but all right, let's get into this. Let's pose this guy a little bit more. I'll open his mouth up, and we'll just discuss the figure a little bit further. Now, just to give you a quick look, this is the diorama that comes inside the box. It's I believe it's a picture of Biolante's death scene. You know, when the particles are just floating up. So yeah, just to give you a quick idea what that looks like. Pretty cool that each box comes with its own, you know what I mean? But yeah. All right, so first off, you're gonna get some, you know, smooth articulation in his waist area. You could spin it all the way around. So that's kind of cool. You know, the arms are a lot less articulation than, say, an SH Monster Arts figure, but and the legs are a little bit on the stiffer side. The tail you could get to do quite a bit, but you know, it's not always going to line up. With the dorsal plates are not going to always line up if you move it in certain ways that you want it to. So you're gonna. It's uniform that way. If you start going in different directions with it, you're going to get like gaps from where the ball joints are, and then you might, you know, the dorsal plates on his tail might, you know, get a little bit mixed up. So his legs do offer some movement. They bend at the knee, the feet move. And, you know, they can move in and out. They're a little on the stiff side, the legs, so you just have to work those. But I love the way they do the detail on Godzilla's skin. They paint the fingernails and toenails quite well here. It's a nice, like, bone color. The dorsal plates are okay. You know, the paint job is just kind of simplistic. It's nothing that really jumps out at you. It's just, you know, there's some nice white around the charcoal gray. Very basic as far as the paint job on the dorsal plates, you know. The overall paint of the figure is nice. I like the detail on his chest, on his arms. I really like the teeth here. They're nicely done. The inside of the mouth and the tongue looks great. You know, the eyes are fairly well done here. They're pointing pretty much straight ahead. They're not terrible, but they're not fantastic either. You have good detail on the top of the head, but like I said before, the top of the head is a little bit too pointy. Overall, it's a nice figure. It stands alone. Not every figure needs to be 100% screen accurate. And this is still a fairly cool figure with some decent articulation. So I do like it. I liked it for the price of 32 bucks as well. There's another version of this too where he has like Biollante slime on him. I didn't get that version. I got all my NECAs from Sneak Out while they had them, but you know, that one they didn't have. I was able to just get the regular 89. Maybe eventually one day I'll get the one with the slime on, and that didn't really appeal to me that much anyway. This one is fine. So, but yeah, let's pose him some more, and I'll show you what this sucker can do. Okay, he can look about that far up, which is not too bad. It's about like what the highest can do. Maybe some of the highest could do a little bit more, but that's not terrible. You could look them. You could look pretty much up. But what I was talking to you about before is if you put the tail straight, you can see the gaps here, where if you have the tail up swept, that kind of disappears a little bit better. It's just weird the way that fits into it. So, you know, and the face is going to look better with the mouth open like that. But with those gaps on the tail, even when it's like that, you know, you could see it. But, yeah, it's more prevalent if it's not up swept like that. So, you know, that's, I guess, you know, the best position to have this tail. So you're kind of limited in what the tail can do because of that, or how it's going to look in certain ways that you pose it, you know. And you could get them into like a running or a walking at your pose, you know. Yeah, you could also put the tail to the side like this, kind of have it like that. You know, you could do things with the tail, but there's certain ways to pose it where it looks better, you know. But you can make his legs go back and his arms and have him in a nice running pose like this. I put his head pretty much all the way down, like as far down as you could make him look right there. So that's as far down as you could get his head to go. Still pretty cool, you know, like the articulation is decent for a $32 figure, so you can't complain. It's not SH Monster articulation, but it's not bad. It's not even higher articulation, but it's still not bad. And you could get his legs to spread pretty far wide as well, just to show you, which is nice. They're a little on the stiffer side. And again, you see the tail is a little... It's cool, the tail, you know, but you just have to line it up right. So all the dorsal plates look pretty uniform. Now here we have the atomic breath piece that he comes with, which is frankly not that special. I don't know. Looks like a water missile or waves. The color scheme of the white and this light blue, it just doesn't really look like Godzilla's atomic breath. It looks like a wave that a surfer might be riding. I don't know. It's cool that you get an accessory. It's not the greatest. He kind of points down with it. You can't really make him, you know, it looks weird if you try to make him shoot it out straight, you know. You do have good mobility in the head and the neck area, but, you know, the atomic breath effect is more for having it be, you know, pointed down. So... yeah, that's that. Whatever. I'm not crazy about the atomic breath here. I've seen way better. I do like some of the poses that you could get this thing in, though. You know what I mean? You could pose them in certain ways where it looks really tough. It's a decent looking figure. What can I say? You know what I mean? It doesn't exactly knock it out of the park, but it's also fairly decent looking, and you can't get it into a swimming pose because of the tail. You know, if you try to put the tail like completely straight, it's almost at the point of the ball joint popping out. So, you know, the tail is nice, but it's also like a liability for this figure, you know. So, but, you know, the like gray that it's painted is quite nice. The detail on it, on the chest and on the legs is nice. And even on the, the tail, going to the bottom of the tail. Paint job on the dorsal plates is just okay. It's mediocre. Eyes are decent. The mouth and the teeth are nice. That's a highlight. Overall, this is just okay. Do I recommend it? Yeah, if you like NECA. You know what I mean? And if you don't, try the SH Monster version of this, which I will bring out and compare to it. You'll see the difference. The SH Monster 89 is way more screen accurate than this one is. So let's take a look at those two together. All right. So now just to compare it with the SH Monster Arts, this is really more along the lines of what Bio Goji is supposed to look like. And you can see the difference in the head sculpt. The SH Monster Arts version is much more screen accurate. The neck is more screen accurate. The chest is more screen accurate. You know what I mean? It's a little too buff on the NECA. Maybe it's not buff enough, or just buff enough on the SH Monster Arts. But, I mean, you could tell the way the dorsal plates are done on the SH Monster Arts, the way the fingernails and toenails are painted, the way the inside of the mouth is done, and, of course, the head sculpt and the functionality of the tails. The SH Monster Arts is just a much better figure. Neck is a little bigger, obviously, you could see here, but, out of these two, SH Monster Arts definitely takes the cake on the Bio Goji. All right, so there we have it, folks. NECA 1989, Bio Goji from Godzilla vs. Biollante. I do recommend the figure. It's not bad. It's definitely a stylized approach. It's a cool overall figure. It's a cool Godzilla 89, which has its flaws like any other figure. But, what's disappointing the most on it is the face. It's just not accurate. But, I like the NECAs, and if you want to be a NECA completist, you're going to need this one. And it's a pretty cool figure overall. All right, I'll be with you again soon. Peace.